The global economic collapse is an asynchronous series of events. It begins with a subtle and unnoticed presence. It is accompanied by denial and arguments. Soon, however, there's no turning back and the magnitude of the collapse seems never ending. But today, we are witnessing it unfold right before our very eyes. There is only one question. Who stands to gain from all of this destruction? You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we're going to look at the global economic collapse. I'm going to show you what's going on in Europe. I'll show you what's going on in the US. Let's begin by taking a look at this. I want to just give you a progress update. The Dow Jones, in the previous video I suggested that this will most likely rise before the end of the day, and it did. Okay, so we moved into positive territory for the Dow Jones after several days of negative returns. Looking at what they did in the afternoon, they pushed it up. In the beginning of the day, you can see that it started to wane, and at that point is when I did the video and suggested, you know what, is probably going to come up, and there's two reasons for that. At the end of the day, the plunge protection team usually comes in, as well at the end of the week. So these two factors, it seemed most logical that this would be the time, in fact, that they would do so. And for those who aren't aware, this was from Friday's trading session. Okay, so the plunge protection team usually comes in around those times. I would just wanted to bring you that progress update. Let's go on to the DAX, and we're looking at the German stock market. Year to date on this chart, it has come down quite a bit, but this not just Germany. And the reason why I show you Germany is because this is considered to be a very strong country. There's a lot of good and positive notes coming out of Germany. It's surrounded by a lot of negatives, essentially. So we can see that their stock market has definitely not been keeping up. So we can look at this stock market, but it is really just one of so many. When I look at the German stock market, I'm really looking at all of the other stock markets because it's the emerging markets. It's going on in Italy. It's going on in the banking sector. It's going on in the global systemically important banks. This is happening all over the place, and we can see year to date performance has been terrible. That just happens to be the German stock market, but I could have pretty much showed any market there and would be the exact same thing. ECB cannot come to Italy's rescue without EU bailout. We've got an issue going on in Italy today, and it is happening on so many levels. Their debt is a problem. Their deficits are a problem. They've got issues going on that they simply cannot afford to fix. And they wanted to spend a bit more to be able to fix their problem, but they were told by their masters that they were not allowed to do so. You are not going to be able to have say in your own country. We're going to decide because we make the rules, and that's just the way it is. The European Central Bank won't come to Italy's rescue if its government or bank sector run out of cash unless the country secures a bailout from the European Union. So guess what? The next time around, the EU is going to have to bail them out. Then the ECB is going to have to bail them out. But wait a second, David. I thought you said that the CSPP program provided by the ECB, corporate sector bailout package here, is in fact bailing out all of the different governments. We have all these different corporations, and they're bailing them out. Okay? This purchase program, corporate sector purchase program, is unbelievable. I like to look at it as a bailout. They call it a purchase program, but as far as I'm concerned, it's CSBP bailout package, because that's what they're doing. They're buying the corporate debt of so many companies, not just in Italy, but all over the place, in Germany and everywhere. And it's going on under the radar. Most people don't know about it, but it is public. You can look it up, CSPP by the ECB, and they're monetizing all of their debt. They said that they would never do this, but of course, here we are. This is the situation in Italy today. Why are they suffering? They're getting a bailout. But of course, it's just going to get worse. And the European Union is going to have to come in and probably tell a country like Germany, okay, you're going to have to bail out Italy. Spain, you're going to have to buy some of their debt. France, you're going to have to buy some of their debt. And they only make it worse and worse and worse. They're tying these countries together so tightly that as soon as one has a problem, they all have a problem. It's a huge mistake. That's what's going on. Keep your eyes on Italy, all right? Looking at this, it's very hard to read. It's a font at the top, but basically it says German interest rates have been negative for years. And this chart goes back to the financial crisis until today. All the numbers are in black for some reason. But anyway, all I wanted to show you here is that we have interest rates in Europe in particular, Japan as well, different places around the world where interest rates are in the negative territory. And what do you do with that? How do you ever make money? But don't worry about it, because somebody's there to buy it up. There's always a buyer, it seems, even if that means the central bank has to monetize it. And that's the way that they're behaving. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's crazy. But that's where we're at today. Negative interest rates will be the destruction of so many governments, and they don't realize it, but this is what they've been forced into. There's no more growth. They're having a problem with deflation. So what do? Well, they started to bring interest rates down. They got them down to zero, and then they thought, well, why not bring them into the negative? So they're destroying currencies, they're destroying countries. Oh, no worries, not a problem. And we look at different areas around the world, current account imbalances by country, whether that is Germany at the top of the list, okay, so you could see that, and the United States at the bottom of the list. All right, congratulations to Canada, number 3 here. But anyway, looking at this by the way, this is into negative territory at the bottom of the list. They're always pretending to be in a good situation. Look at the United States as an example. They owe so much money. Their deficit to all of these different countries is unbelievable. And yet we have this thing, it's called a central bank, and they believe that they are the all-knowing, all-powerful, all-encompassing, I want to call it like a corporation. Let's call it an institution that decides what it wants to do with the money of the United States. And they do so with the complete desire to control the populace using that. What if I wanted to create my own currency and I thought that this would be really good and I wanted to issue it to my employees and I wanted to give it to you in a transaction that we're doing? That's called counterfeit, and I'm not allowed to do it. But the Federal Reserve, which is no different really than a corporation, is able to do so. It says Federal Reserve Note on the money of the United States, and there's no competing currencies allowed. That to me is unbelievable, and that's the way this system works. And this has been the cause of the destruction. The central banking system is the reason why all of this is happening. Now I'm going to get into the economy, because you can look at stock markets and we can look at bond markets, but it's the economy itself that is the problem. I've got a lot to cover here quickly. 40% of the American middle class face poverty in retirement, study concludes. I just said that 40% of the American middle class face poverty. How in the world is this going to ever turn around when we have a stock market that has been booming for 10 years now, when we have supposedly very, very, very low, historically low unemployment rate? I think the last time I checked it was something like 3.7%. I'm being told that the economy is firing on all cylinders, yet 40% of the American middle class faces poverty. We've got an issue here, because this is not really showing up in the statistics that we are witnessing, that the government likes to provide, that the mainstream media likes to provide us with. Verizon lays off 44,000, transfers 2,500 more IT jobs to Indian outsourcer Infosys. So this is just one company that they're outsourcing. It's going to continue to happen. Have no fear, because what we have is increasing expenditures. We put Obamacare in, okay? What do? Hire part-time employees instead of full-time employees. We increase expenditures on, different taxation. We increase what we have with minimum wage. It's just going to push jobs overseas. That's all it's going to do. There's no way around that. Negotiations over the fate of Sears are focused on hashing out a plan that would keep some stores open through at least Christmas. Now, what are they doing here? I mean, honestly, I'm surprised that they have any stores remaining. Sears is getting money, what they're planning on doing, trying to raise money for what? This store will not exist in the near future, and I think the best thing to do is to admit it to the employees and make their preparations. If they're working today, they need to figure out their other way around. I mean, there's no other way to put this. I just feel bad for the people that are working here, okay? There's a lot of details. I don't want to get to it. I just want to show you what's going on. Income inequality grows in the New York City area. A ranking of 2017 income inequality among the 100 most populous U.S. metropolitan areas as gauged by the Gini coefficient shows that New York has taken the number 2 spot from 3 the prior year. We're looking at areas all over the U.S., and they show you some in here, but essentially what we're looking at is income inequality going on all over the United States, all over Canada, all over the UK, Australia, and other places around the world where money is being spent on the wrong things. Money is being spent in order to make sure that prices are higher and higher and higher. Why not figure out a way to make it more affordable? And that could be the case of the central banks making all the mistakes, or perhaps you could suggest they're doing it intentionally. Something to think about. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. When you give me a thumbs up, it helps to support this channel, so I do appreciate that very much. And last but not least, if you want the financial education that you were simply not taught in schools, well then, these 2 books have it all. You can check this out. All you need to do is go over to Amazon. There's a link in the description of the video. It's going to allow you to flip through the pages of the books, so you can check that out. See it in the description there. Click on it, go over there. If you want the audiobook version, you'll have to get that at themoneygps.com.